My name is Ainsley, and Karina, Ruthie, and I are seniors at Kennebunk High School. We're in the Gulf of Maine Studies class, and this presentation is part of our Sea Level Rise campaign. We're young with our own stories and hopes for making change. This is our journey to slow the rise in our community and communities around us. In a survey from a previous project, we asked community members to tell us their experiences with sea level rise. We had many results from people who shared their experience and knowledge. People said sea level rise was not a thing and that it might be a problem for the next generation. These results surprised us and showed us that more people should know and that we want to educate. We know the environmental effects, but sea level rise is also going to affect our family homes, small businesses who are reliant on our coastline, and the unique Maine culture our coastal community depends on. We've had many opportunities as a class to interview climate experts alongside longtime members of the coastal Maine community. In an interview, Pete Slavinsky, Maine state geologist, says how he's worried about the impacts on people, but how most people are now starting to accept that it's occurring. We've learned over the past year how sea level rise affects communities outside of our own, ranging from Eastport to Wells to Mount Desert Island. Without statewide leadership and local action, families and communities have been forced to deal with the threats and effects on their own, leading to an unsustainable path.
As students, it was impossible for us to ignore sea level rise in our own community, as it was consistently filling the roads and covering bridges in our town. We knew that it hadn't always been like this, but understanding the science behind it really solidified these concerns. Statistics like with just 3.9 feet of sea level rise, over 115 miles of road could be at risk during higher tide, led us to understand that sea levels are rising faster than they ever have before, with 57% of the highest monthly levels ever recorded in the past 5 years. With impacts on our coastal communities, vital ecosystems, and foundational industries, all which make up the culture of our state, we wondered why more people were not outraged at the effects of our rising seas. These maps spoke to our class greatly, showing the loss of life and land in the places we know so well. Most students reported feeling very alarmed and worried when looking at these maps because in our hometown of Kennebunk, sea level rise would mean the beaches we grew up on, the roads we drive on, and the schools we go to won't even survive into the next generation. In the next 80 years, similar maps show projected losses that look the same across the state's coastline. The Gulf of Maine is unique. Not only are we facing rising tides, but rising temperatures as well. As carbon emissions continue and with the expansion of warming waters, this rapid rate of warming is causing sea level rise to drastically impact our communities. Business owners now rethink their spots on the river, and community leaders like Governor Janet Mills and Maine State Congresswoman Chloe Maxman must work to protect all their constituents who are now at risk. As local coastal localities must deal with heightened maintenance costs, we see that community leaders across the state must deal with the implications that come with sea level rise. We realized that it was impacting far more than just our seawalls and our beaches.
Clearly, the threats on our economy, community, and environment are real. Everyone will be affected by our warming, rising waters, whether it's the erosion of our beaches or less snowfall up north, leading to less snowpack, crucial to the fresh water supply. Here, the impact on our shores may be more visible, but just because you can't see the danger doesn't mean it's not there. Towns across the state have been left to deal with these problems alone, leaving homes and beloved traditions waterlogged and damaged by the waves. The best course of action is to band together and assess how sea level rise plays a role in your community. Though all towns may not face the same problems, we all have something to lose. As shown, people of Maine have been seeing the effects of our rising seas and feel worried. With crosswalks underwater and our winters more vulnerable than ever, we need to help our state with this pressing matter. Flattened dunes and cracked seawalls are the start to something much larger. If more people in the community had awareness about these issues, then we could make larger impact. If changes in your community can't be seen, how could they possibly be felt with, say, warmer springs? The threats to Maine society can feel overwhelming, but there is action you can take, whether planting a garden, reducing plastic waste, carpooling, and especially voting to support climate change laws, bills, and amendments.
Without policy that lowers carbon emissions and curbs our rising tides, the Gulf of Maine will continue to face increasingly dangerous threats. Our homes, schools, and roadways will continue to go underwater, as will the future of Maine's workforce, real estate, and tourism industries. Even though these threats seem looming, our class of 16 seniors and juniors is ending our year of field research not hopeless, but hopeful. The challenge of sea level rise provides an opportunity for Maine to unite and innovate together.
Now, take a moment, pause, and imagine the world when we solve this. What do you see that's different? How can you make change, and how can that change be seen through? What we imagine is tackling sea level rise and climate change with innovation, motivation, and a little bit of hope so that generations after ours can enjoy the natural world without fear for its survival. But remember, whatever you can do to contribute is enough. Thank you for listening and watching the presentation. We greatly appreciate your attention and respect and hope that you bring more climate change action and awareness into your life. If you'd like to see more of our climate change journey, please visit the social media links below in the right-hand corner. And finally, please take a moment on your own to think about those questions. How can you make a difference? What needs to happen for that difference to be made? Do the best you can. If we fight together, we will be stronger.